The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
And welcome in. It's in-game live game day on this fabulous Friday. Scott Wetzel, Joe Madden in for Dave Sherapan, as she has been all week long as we cover the world of sports from the betting angle. Yes, college basketball once again taking center stage with all these postseason tournaments going on, many already underway, many from earlier today, many more later on tonight that we'll get into. Little NBA, got a marquee matchup, at least on paper. However, the LA Lakers decided not to play Luka tonight. No Luka, no LeBron. So LA versus Denver, not quite as good as we thought it would be. Pretty good one, Cleveland and Memphis. But, that's right, it's the NBA. We don't have Donovan Mitchell for the Cleveland Cadavers tonight. So, it's always a two-headed coin here with the NBA. You have great games, but when the superstars don't play, the interest not quite as there. But we can put a couple shekels on that, Joe. We got the college basketball. We got a little NHL. I got Colby Dan coming back with us tonight, as he did last night. We got Steve Burrow from WagerTalk.com and our good buddy Cam Stewart. So what's on your plate? How you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. It's going to be a loaded show here. So much going on, Scott. Excited for these college games, but definitely some places I need stronger second halves. BYU here really struggling to start versus Houston. I did think BYU would be able to come out, go over their team total, but Houston's proving that they do what they do best, and that's lockdown on the defensive side. BYU in the first half, Scott, 20 points only. Their team total was 63.5 in this one, and I thought magically they'd find a way. They just haven't been able to. We've got a tight one between Marquette and St. John's as that second half kicks off. That spread right around where it closed at, 3.5 there for St. John's laying it. And then Missouri versus Florida. I expected Missouri to be able to cover that original spread plus 8.5. That's jumped all the way up to 14.5 as Florida has a 50-37 lead. So great action happening right now. I definitely need some help in the second half of these games. How is your day starting?
Yeah, no, not too bad. Not too bad. It's not so much what I did, but what I didn't do. Pat myself on the back and say I didn't bet Illinois. I thought about it. It was real close, and I've just been inaugural with this goofy team all season long. I mentioned it many times on the shows that we do. Whenever I sit down and watch them play, they look great. But then the next game, when I'm not watching them, they're losing by 20 points to Topeka High. And I liked them again today, had them yesterday against Iowa. They look great. They put over 100 points on the board. And tonight they're down 32 to a decent Maryland team, not a bad team, probably a tournament team for sure, but they shouldn't be down 32 points. How can you look so good one day and the very next day be so bad? That's Illinois, so I'm kind of happy. Obviously I didn't pull the trigger on them. If you want to now, it's 28.5, but I just wouldn't do it. I was on the other side with Houston and BYU. Although I didn't bet Houston to win, I did bet the under. But laying 6.5, I thought was actually a halfway decent bet. It's 41-20, as you mentioned. They're up 21 at the halftime. I'd be a little leery of the over just because it's a blowout now. So I'm still going to sweat out the under 133.5 bet. So I did have a dopey North Carolina. Well, what a joke that team. You talk about being ticked off. No Cooper Flag for Duke today, right? We all knew he wasn't going to play. No reason to play him. And we thought, okay, inspired ball for North Carolina. Joe, I got the Tar Heel blue on. I'm thinking, okay, they got a chance to get really into the NCAA tournament with a victory tonight. They're going to keep it at least close, getting 6.5. They're down 21, 45, 24. They're shooting like they didn't score the final 4 minutes plus in the first half. Bricks, and bricks, nothing but bricks. So, overall, kind of a mediocre day.
Yeah, I feel your pain on that. I had North Carolina plus 3.5 in the first half, expecting with Flag not out there on the court, we could see North Carolina at least capitalize in the first half, then Duke pull away in the full thing. The one shining light in this game, I do have Knipple of Duke for over his points. That was 18.5, and I'm expecting him to still be able to hit that. He had 9 in that first half, Scott.
All right. Plenty of games that'll be starting here in a little bit. So if you need some help and which way to go with those games, we got our super trends, our 5 top trends for the night. So here we go as we go a little college basketball, a little NBA, no hockey tonight. 5 best trends. We went 2 and 3 last night. So for the week, 8 and 7. And again, it's not really saying you should bet all these. It's just the best trends. If you want the best trends, these are the games. Sometimes you go with them. Sometimes you go against them. But it is fun to find them. UConn Creighton. Joe starts at bottom of the hour, depending on how long the St. John's games takes. 8-1 under their last 9 meetings. UConn and Creighton. So bet under 139.5. UConn versus Creighton tonight. And Creighton is a monster under team anyway. So throw that on top of this trend, and then you really got a strong play. How about an NBA play? Memphis is hosting Cleveland today. Memphis is 1-12-1 against the spread their last 14 games. This team was on fire at the beginning of the year, not anymore. The bet, Cleveland, laying 2.5, whether it's Scott Donovan Mitchell or we throw out all the injuries and all that other stuff. This is just straight trends. And, you bet against a team that's 1-12-1 against the spread their last 14 games. Back to the college hardwood. How about UC Irvine, 15-8-1 against the spread against Cal Poly, including 2-0 this year, including a win by 30. So the bet, UC Irvine laying 10.5 against Cal Poly. Pick number 4, play number 4, Louisville, 21-11 under, taking on Clemson. Clemson, 9-1 under their last 10 neutral site games, as obviously this one is. Give it the under, 141.5, Clemson and Louisville. That one I do like. Not that I don't like the others, but that one I am playing. And then the last one, the best one on the board. We dug deep for this one, Joe, real deep. We're going UC San Diego, not San Diego State, UC San Diego, 23-7 this year. They are one of the best, and I mean like top 5 against the spread teams out of 364 teams. It's good old dopey UC San Diego, 23-7 against the spread this year. And going back to the last couple of years, they're 24-6 against the spread versus winning teams, as their opponent today, UC Santa Barbara, is. So make the play. UC San Diego laying 11.5 against UC Santa Barbara. Great trend play. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, I love that last one there, because you look at UC San Diego and they are fighting for a bid here. So I think we're going to get the best out of them. They can't just win this by a couple of points. They're going to come out and dominate this game. And then you mentioned UConn and Creighton, and I love that one to the under, Scott. I don't even think that total is low enough. You look at Creighton and you look at that mess of a game versus DePaul yesterday. They cannot come out like they did versus DePaul and allow UConn to put those points easily easily on the board. They're going to lock down on the defensive side, and that one really should stay under that total. So, yeah, Creighton, UConn, definitely under the 139.5. And then UC San Diego, I'm all over them covering that spread as well as laying their team total over 72.5 points. I think they're going to get up and over that number as well.
Yeah, I like the Creighton one too. You know, I like a few of these tonight. Here's some more fodder for under, right? So 8-1 under in the series. UConn's had 4 straight games going under. And then Creighton, their last 9 games against winning teams, which obviously UConn is, 8-1 under. So that's a lot of unders. And you're getting a pretty good number. It's not like 130 or so. You know, you're getting close to 140 depending on where you do your shopping. So you're right, Joe. And you played last night, played ugly basketball. They nearly lost. I'm thinking they were read the riot act today. They'll slow it down, play much better defense. UConn wants to play great defense, right? They don't want to run up and down the court. So, yeah, I like that one. I do like that one as well.
And UConn's only allowing an average of like 58 points a game. So,
yeah, there you go. All right, hour number 1, in-game live, underway. More coming up.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in-game live, game day here on the grid. Scott and Joe Madden just underway, hour number 1. You know, it's kind of funny, Joe. You can't win for losing, right? If you make some plays and they're going lousy, well, you're upset, obviously. But then if you make some plays and they're going good, I'm looking at the board and I'm like, you know, I like the over Florida, Missouri. That's going good. I don't want to double down to 173.5. I had Houston in the under. That's looking good. I can't bet that. I'm going to lay 19.5 with Houston, right? I love St. Joe's. Great numbers against Dayton. They're up 10, 31-21, laying 8.5 now as a 1.5 point dog. I can't bet that. I can't bet. All the bets I made, they're all winning. This stinks. I want to have some losers on there. Where are my losing bets? North Carolina. Remind myself. Yeah, North Carolina shot. Yeah.
Right. You definitely have first world problems out there. How about the NBA? Is there something that's going awry in the NBA where you can jump in, right? The 76ers are up over the Pacers right now. Pacers still 5.5 point favorite. Like, should we be jumping in there? Boston and Miami are tied up 50 apiece in that one. Total of 202.5. We're at halftime with 100 points. I would expect some more points in that second half. I'd take it over the 202.5, even though we know the Celtics defense is strong. What about you? How about the Clippers and the Hawks? Are the Hawks winning this one outright as a home dog tonight? 39-35 right now.
Yeah, I thought that line was a little strange. I meant that was the other game. I looked up a bunch of games, as I like to do, to see who's playing, who's not playing, right? It's the NBA. You have to do that before you put any bets down. Although I've said many times, I try not to let that influence me because these teams all respond even when their star players aren't playing. But I thought that was a little weird that Atlanta – is Trae Young playing tonight? Yeah, he is. All right. I didn't get why they were a 4.5 point home underdog. Clippers stink on the road. They're 14-20 on the road. I know they did win their last road game, but that was the first one in about a month and a half. So I do like Atlanta. Again, they're up 4 and they're still getting points. I don't. Something's a little weird with that game and with Trae Young playing. So getting 2.5, but I think they do win. I really do. I put in Philadelphia Indiana. Joe, before we came on the air, Pacers were down double digits. They were laying 5.5, as they are now. They've cut into that a little bit. They're down only 4 as they are at halftime, 51-47. So Philadelphia is just so bad. I mean, it's just 2-14 against the spread their last 16 games. I mean, they're just awful. So I would bet you're getting – I would have liked it to have been like 2.5, 3.5, but I think in the end the Pacers win. So I wouldn't have any issues laying the 5.5.
Yeah, I'm completely with you there. I just don't see the 76ers getting it done. And then when you talk about the Clippers and the Hawks, I am completely with you. I think we just take the Hawks straight up on the money lineup, plus 108. I think they can get it done here. And I know you're missing the best of the number because they were like a 4.5 point dog coming into this. So you would have got a lot more plus money, but I just can't see the Clippers pulling this off. Like you said, that road record has been atrocious. And I almost feel like people just want to bet the Clippers over the Hawks, right? Like they get so much more love out there, and I just don't see it happening. I also like the over 228.5. It's minus 108 to the over. If the Hawks are to stay competitive in this one, it has to go over that total. If the Clippers start to turn on that defense and really limit the Hawks, we're going to go under it, but I'm not seeing it happen, Scott.
Yeah. One other before we hit the NHL board. Donovan Mitchell not playing for Cleveland tonight. Good news, bad news. They were still a 2.5 point favorite over Memphis, which has not played great basketball. 1-12-1. You heard where our trends were at, right? This was one trend I didn't buy into. I did bet Memphis tonight plus the 2.5. And here's why, Joe. And they're down 14-9, I will say, early on, obviously. But Cleveland is 5-0 without Donovan Mitchell this year. So more reason to bet on them, right? Perhaps, but the 5 teams that they beat, it was like Brooklyn, Charlotte, Toronto when they weren't playing well, Detroit earlier on, and Portland. And 4 of the 5 wins came by single digits. So, yeah, they're good enough to win, but those were all close games against really bad teams. Now they're facing a pretty good team in Memphis on the road. So, you know what? I said give me Memphis plus the 2.5, and like it's 14-12 now, so early on. A lot of score. The over-under's up to 249.5. I mean, they played less than 4 minutes, literally, and they have 26 points already. This thing is like on a monster pace, so.
Yeah, and that's what I was looking at because that total when you were talking got all the way up to 252.5. And at some point it's going to get too high, but at this point, this game is going to fly over that original total of 245.5. So I think we wait. Scott, to wait till this one gets up to that 255, 256 mark. And then I want to come back in on the under if we're starting to see things slow down slightly, right? Like I know it has to speed up for it to hit that mark, but I don't think we hit. 260 points tonight. Do you?
I don't think so. That's a lot of points. All right. But I tell you, we got some weird scores, right? Indiana could put up 200. Well, not 200 themselves, but they could put up 125, 130 points easily, right? They got only 47 against Philadelphia at the half. That over-under is down to 218. You got the Celtics that can easily score 125 points, right? They only have 50 at the half. You got Charlotte, which is a monster under team. The top two teams, them and Orlando, two best under teams in the NBA, they got 20 points 5 minutes into the game against, albeit San Antonio. So you got some strong over teams that are playing under games, and you got some strong under teams that are playing over games. So weird start to this Friday night.
Yeah, definitely a weird start. I know when we do the Saturday shows, you say no one likes to play defense on a Saturday. What do you think of Friday, Scott? Because we haven't done a Friday show forever together.
Yeah, no one likes to play defense on Fridays either. It takes a lot for me to bet, especially knowing if they have Saturday off, then it's really like, that's it. Let's just get this game over with. I'm not sticking my neck out there, coach. See you later. No, let's alley-oop defense, a little dare defense. I dare you to shoot it, knock yourself out. So, yeah, I tend to look towards overs on Friday and Saturday nights. Monster hockey game, Joe, coming up. Well, not coming up, actually underway. Winnipeg and Dallas. Winnipeg a slight favorite. They're the home team, minus 130 or so. Excuse me. Dallas, getting 105 now, 115, 114 on FanDuel. No score in the first period.
It's what I want to see. I expected a lower scoring one, but stayed off the full game total because I isolate the Dallas Stars. Took their team total under 2.5, Scott. It was at plus 104 going into the game. You can still jump on the under 2.5 for at plus 180 money.
All right, SGPs coming up next.
It's made every match so much more enjoyable to watch because you don't get the stinkers, right?
Right. It goes back to these guys being smart. They figured out that if I've got the hammer in my back pocket and I don't relinquish it, we can just play them straight up and win. They figured that out. And so it's like, all right, now credit to the people at TGL. Like, no, we need to fix this because the hammer can change the match. And since we fixed it, you're not out of it.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Off of the combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drips. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
And welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the grid. Hour number one, Scott and Joe until 10 p.m. Eastern time. It's 25 past the hour of number one, so you know what time it is. A little SGP, same game parlay time. All right, Joe, I'll go first here. I'm going to use an NBA game, probably not one of the highly bet games, but that's okay. Again, if they are willing to play it, then we're willing to bet it. I do like your Toronto Raptors tonight. I got it -2 this morning. I don't know, is it +2 now? Did it flip? Maybe I just wrote it down wrong originally, but I like Toronto to win the game regardless. In fact, they were -2 because I was going to grab -2, right? Because I was going to grab them on the money line. I saw somewhere where now they're +1.5. So it has flipped to Utah favored. So grab yourself 1.5 if you want. But for our purposes, to be fair, I got Toronto to win the game. I'm going to go over 233.5. Toronto and Utah. I think you're going to get a ton of points, right? It's a Friday night. So why not? Utah's a monster over team. I'm going to grab Lauri Markkanen for Utah, 15-plus points or more. It's -280. He'll get that easily. I'll use R.J. Barrett, who's back in the lineup for Toronto, 15-plus points. He's going to get that easily. You see there, -350. And then Walter Kessler, who had 6 blocks the other night. He's going to get at least one at -30-1. But it actually bumped the payoff. It was going to be right around 5-1, and they bumped it up to +556. So to me, it's kind of a Toronto and over, should be 2.5-1 parlay. I got 3 others that I'm on there that I'm pretty confident, unless something crazy happens, is going to hit. So I bumped it up to +556.
Okay, let's go Raptors. I hope they can come out, win, cover, and all of those can hit, Scott. It's a great parlay for you there. I'm going to turn to the ice, and I'm looking at the matchup between the Colorado Avalanche and the Calgary Flames. Now, this should be an absolute battle out there. I'm looking at one thing, though, that is an interesting take for Colorado here. They're starting Scott Wedgwood, not Mackenzie Blackwood, because of the fact on Sunday they have the Dallas Stars on deck, which is a divisional opponent. The Dallas Stars sitting second. Now with Mikko Rantanen, Colorado is sitting in third place in that Central. So I do think we're going to see them come out nice and strong in this one, but not as strong as we will see them coming out in the next game. So I'm going to look at Calgary to keep it tight. We know the Colorado Avalanche have won the last 6 over Calgary, but I think Calgary on that puck line +1.5 is a really interesting way to look. I'm then going to look at some players for their points tonight. Nazem Kadri has been absolutely elite at home, getting those goals on the board, as well as lately on the road. I'm going to take Nazem Kadri for the point tonight for Calgary. Then I'm going to look at Jonathan Huberdeau, because Jonathan Huberdeau also really has been lighting that lamp this season, 24 goals and 24 assists. So give me Jonathan Huberdeau for Calgary for a point as well. And then turning to Colorado, Cale Makar was a Calgary boy. Give me Cale Makar for the point. And then Nichushkin here for Colorado for the point as well. He's played so strong versus Calgary. He's got 13 points, in the last 9 games versus the Calgary Flames. So 5-legger here, Calgary on the puck line +1.5, Nazem Kadri for a point, Cale Makar for a point, Jonathan Huberdeau for a point, and Nichushkin for the point. That's coming in at +840. Scott, what do you think? I went with points instead of goals tonight.
All right. I like it all, except I really don't like the Flames. They may win. They're at home. But you said it there. Colorado has really owned this series. They are 13-4. Their last 17, or check that. I'm sure changed them. 14-3. Their last 17 games against Calgary, including the 6-0 that they've won 6 straight. So because of that, they haven't been great on the road lately. 2-5 last 7 road games. But, it could be a one-score game that they could win and continue that trend, but not win by 2 goals. So that would have been the only one, but I think we're going to get some goals tonight. It should be a good game. So I like all the other player props that you have. Any kind of luck, you get some of those, and then you could hedge, with Colorado if you wanted to. So
yeah, I actually think Calgary's live, Scott. Come on, Calgary's live here. They're fighting to hold that last wild card spot. Colorado has to face Mikko Rantanen and the Dallas Stars on Sunday. That's in their heads for sure. Mikko Rantanen's going to score on them, on Mackenzie Blackwood. It's going to be on fire on Sunday. You guys don't miss that game.
That's not bad. Look at that nice look ahead spot. I don't think he played when he was with Carolina, right, against Colorado. I don't think so. Yeah, that should be a lot of fun. All right, Colby Dance, college basketball experience coming up next here on the Grid.
It's made every match so much more enjoyable to watch because you don't get the stinkers, right?
Right. It goes back to these guys being smart. They figured out that if I've got the hammer in my back pocket and I don't relinquish it, we can just play them straight up and win. They figured that out. So it's like, all right, now credit to the people at TGL. Like, no, we need to fix this because the hammer can change the match. And since we fixed it, you're not out of it.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Off of the combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drips. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Joe, our number one, talking some college basketball now with our good buddy. You see and hear him all the time on our show, other shows, including last night, a couple times this week already. Always appreciate him coming back. Our good buddy Colby Dan from the College Basketball Experience podcast. Cole, let's start with some of the games, earlier today. Anything before we get to the things going on right now? Anything jump off the page and surprise you? Maybe Auburn, Ole Miss, a low-scoring game, which I was a little bit surprised about. UCLA getting blasted by Wisconsin, but anything else? Anything jump off the board for you today?
I'm going to circle that UCLA Wisconsin one. I had a future in UCLA. I thought at least it would be a close game. And, to Mick Cronin's complaints all year about going back east. I mean, this time they had like 4 days to get prepared for this. This wasn't a next day flight to Jersey. This middle of the country. You've been there for a week, been there for 3-4 days, whatever. I was completely disappointed by their performance there. I'd say that one probably stands out the most. I mean, Michigan State, I thought Oregon would cover. Michigan State continues to roll. Those two ones stands out to me the most. I was on Tennessee. I thought that kind of went exactly the way I thought it would go. I was on Ole Miss. Now I thought there'd be a little more scoring, but I did think Ole Miss was going to give them a tough game. So they covered there. But yeah, I'd say the big one to me is the UCLA one.
Yeah, that was a huge one. Houston right now is coming out so strong defensively like we expected, but did you expect them to be this strong defensively? BYU in the first half was only able to put up 20 points. They now have 12 in the second half. We got 12 minutes and change left. That spread's moved to 15.5, Colby. What are you thinking with this game?
Yeah, I took BYU in the points. I might double down and take the points with what the number is right now. But I was kind of hoping that, Houston, the last two times they've gone deep into March, they've had injury problems. Like the wear and tear on the team has been an issue, whether it was Sasser a couple of years ago, last season, it was Cryer, I believe. So I thought with Juwan Roberts being questionable here, and a few other players, but Walker and Roberts specifically, I thought, if I'm Samson, maybe he learned something the past couple of years. He's going to give them the day off. No, they're playing, and they're looking really good. So not doing the best with my BYU plus 7.5, but maybe I double down. BYU is a team that I do think can score at will when they get hot from three. Now, the problem is Houston defends the three so well, and I thought they would be a man down or two. But man, at that number, I feel like you got to take BYU.
How about, I didn't play it, and I'm glad I didn't, but I considered it. Your impressions of Illinois. You're putting up 100-plus points yesterday against Iowa, and now they're down. They're making a little bit of a run. They're down 26 with a minute left. I mean, from start to finish, they got blown out by Maryland. I swear to God, Colby, if Illinois and Brad Underwood played Tennessee and Rick Barnes in the NCAA tournament, that game would end in a tie because neither coach has a big win on their resume. It would end in a tie. It would be like a double forfeit.
You're completely right. I'm forever reminded of Porter Moser when he was at Loyola Chicago, just coaching circles around Underwood in the NCAA tournament. And Akron should have beat him 1 year in the opening round, kind of got hosed. But here I am. I take the bait, and I've been a skeptic of Underwood with the Illini for a long time. But I thought, man, they've looked good to close the season. Let me take some of this action with the Illini, and Maryland is just putting it on them. And Maryland's a team that I think is super talented. Like, to me, they're Final Four talented, but Kevin Willard has just been a dud in the postseason as well. The one thing I'll give him, though, is that his best team at Seton Hall, COVID hit. So we never got to see how deep they could have gone. But, I'm shocked by that outpoint, especially Maryland beat them by 30 in the first game. And Underwood kept saying, well, our team had the flu. What's the excuse going to be tonight?
It's another flu going around, maybe. That's for sure. What about North Carolina? Do they have the flu too? I tell you, I expected a lot more out of them, especially in the first half versus Duke with Flag out of the lineup. But Duke has come out. They've been so strong. They're leading 56-43 right now. That spread is now 11.5. I believe it was 6.5 going in.
Yeah, they've had the flu all year, I think. The way they've been playing all year, it's been terrible. But, I do think we buy in right now. It's a Carolina crowd, I think, for the most part. So at 11.5, 12, I think I'm seeing 12.5 right now. If you can, I do think they could close the gap some, especially with two of the top three guys out, Cooper Flag and Malik Brown for Duke. But I'm a bit baffled too. I mean, if you can't win this one with two of the top dogs out for Duke in a game, I figured the last game in Chapel Hill, Carolina had the lead at like the 7-8 minute mark. Duke swung the momentum and stole it from them in a way. I figured, this is Carolina's opportunity to not only win this game, but probably win the ACC tournament. They're really letting us down here, but I do think I would buy in right now with the Heels.
All right, a little Big East action. St. John's and Marquette squaring off now. Then we got UConn and Creighton, which barely was able to survive last night, but they did. Now Creighton getting 4.5 against UConn.
Oh, I mean, the Marquette St. John's game is fascinating. I'm seeing the Johnny's up 7 right now on the TV right here, and I think Marquette's getting 9.5 in game. I think there's value on that. I think there's value on that right there. This has been all of their matchups have come down to the final couple minutes. So if you can, I think the Golden Eagles will be the side you jump on there with that many points. As for the other game, I can't fade UConn the way they're playing, and credit to Danny Hurley. I thought last night made some great second half adjustments. And with that, that's like I know St. John's has the crowd, but after that it would be UConn. It's a UConn crowd as well at the Garden. Love that angle. Creighton was very fortunate. Creighton should have lost last night. Creighton had no business winning that game. Yeah. I can't believe DePaul lost that game. But I will say this: Creighton has given UConn fits this season. So and last season too. They beat them in Omaha. So McDermott always says, they have a great offense. That's fascinating right there. So. Yeah, I mean, I'm on UConn just because of the stadium. I know it's probably the chalky side of things. I just think they're playing pretty good ball right now. Best ball of the season, and what a time to be doing that.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Purdue, Michigan, 2.5 point spread, total 148.5. Are we going to see Purdue sink in their threes tonight?
Yeah, I think Purdue's the play there. Michigan is a team that closed the season very, very questionable with I think 3 losses in a row. And I think the big thing is they had so many 1 to 4 point wins all year where I kind of thought, I was like, can they sustain this? buzzer beaters from a step over half court or whatever, blunders by the other teams in the final couple minutes. Purdue's going to have that crowd being that it's in Indianapolis there. I know Purdue hasn't played great down the stretch. I am a little concerned about the bigs of Michigan giving Purdue some fits, but I just think Michigan's been a questionable team, really all year. They were able to sustain a lot of wins in close games, and maybe there's a skill to that, but I'll take Purdue with that home crowd behind them, especially knowing Michigan got them by 2 last time they played.
Big one in the SEC, Kentucky and Alabama. Kentucky getting 7.5 or so, 179.5.
Yeah, I love the Kentucky plus the points there. I know they wanted the buzzer last night, but they were up. I lost money on that. They were up 11 with 48 seconds left, and actually trailed by 1 with 5 seconds left, which is almost fascinating when I keep thinking about that. I know Lamont Butler's out, but that's Big Blue Nation all over Nashville. Give me the points and Kentucky. I think the money line could be live.
Wow, I didn't realize that. Yeah, I think we were on the air at the time. They were up 11 with less than a minute left, and they darn near lost and actually gave up the lead. That's remarkable. Some of the runs that we've seen these NCAA tournament games, conference tournament games anyway, have been just so crazy. Colby, great job as always. Check out his podcast, Sports Gambling Podcast Network, College Basketball Experience Podcast. Thanks, Colby.
Thanks for having me.
It's made every match so much more enjoyable to watch because you don't get the stinkers, right?
Right. It goes back to these guys being smart. They figured out that if I've got the hammer in my back pocket and I don't relinquish it, we can just play them straight up and win. They figured that out. So it's like, all right, now credit to the people at TGL. Like, no, we need to fix this because the hammer can change the match. And since we fixed it, you're not out of it.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Off of the combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drips. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day on the Grid. Again, thanks to Colby Dan for joining us, as he does all the time here on the Grid. Some good news and some bad news, Joe. Being the Mr. Optimist, as I am, we'll start with the good news. Missouri's made a run, a nice little run, a real good run as far as the team total is concerned anyway. Trail now only by 8, 70-62 with 11 minutes left. Their team total was 76.5. I love that. They've scored 80 points. We've mentioned it many times on our shows. They've put 80 points on the board. I think it's now 13 of their last 14 games. So getting anything less than 80 is just an automatic play. They just put another bucket on the board. So 70-64. They were getting 8.5, 9.5. It's down to 7.5 now. I got Missouri as well as the over. I know you said you got Missouri as well. So that's the pretty good news. Game total's up to 184.5. So that's going to sail by the 156.5 that it was to start. The bad news is North Carolina still can't hit any shots. They made a little bit of a run. They had it down to 15, Joe. Guys underneath the basket for an easy bunny layup. He botches that. Now the lead's back up to 19. Now it's 16. But 65-49. At least they're hitting some of their shots, but only 8 minutes left. So getting 16.5. It doesn't look like the plus 6.5 is going to work out right now. Or 7.5.
Yeah, I've already wrote that off. I've wrote it off, Scott. That game is dead to me. There's no way I'm jumping back in on North Carolina for anything. And I can't jump in on Duke laying those points. I am interested in Con Knipple, though, and we'll check his scoring in a moment. What do you do with Marquette coming into that one? Because I grabbed Marquette plus the 3.5. So I'm really nervous about that. St. John's has pulled away. They're leading that one 72-58. That spread now 12.5. Can Marquette get back into this with less than 4 minutes left, Scott? I don't think so.
Yeah, I like St. John's in that game, and I was telling the guys over at the Game Time Decisions. They played twice this year. St. John's won both games, both close games. And the prevailing thinking is, okay, 2 close games, 2 evenly matched teams, as these are, and you bet on the team that lost the first 2, right? I just didn't think that was going to happen tonight. I really didn't. Marquette, I watched the end of the Marquette St. John's game. They played about a week and a half or so ago. And man, Marquette had every opportunity in the world to win that game, and they pissed it away. And it's just like, you know what? This is a St. John's home game. I mean, a lot of time, like Purdue is playing in Indianapolis. So you say, okay, that's a home game for Purdue, right? But that's not where they normally play. This is where St. John's plays 5, 6, 7, 8 games at Madison Square Garden. So this is, they're used to these arenas. They're used to the backgrounds and the rims and everything. So this really is a home game for them. So long story short, I like them laying 3.5. I thought that was a halfway decent price. And you said they're up 14 right now, 72-58 with 4 minutes left.
Yeah. It's a good price right now on that. I was just looking at BYU. I was trying to see if they were giving us a live team total on BYU. Scott, they put up 24 points in the second half so far. We've got still 7 minutes and change. So in the first half, they only put up 20 points. So 24 points here already in the second half. I was hoping that they could hit their total 63.5. So pregame coming in. They still need 20 more points on the board. That's a lot to ask. I want to see if there was a live number, though, where the books were thinking it should hit. I'm thinking they probably hit, 55, what they hit in their last matchup versus Houston? Like, this is going to be hard the next 7 minutes, unless we get those fouls, right? Because BYU can hit those threes, but Houston's defending them perfectly tonight.
I tell you what, now I like the under originally, 133.5, but you got 104 points. And BYU's making a game of this thing. So, can they get 20 more points in 7 minutes? I would think so.
Hope so.
You need 28, to get to the 132 now it is. It just jumped up a little bit. But you got a halfway decent chance of maybe, I can't say go over because I like the under, but I was afraid of this being a blowout and Houston calls off the dogs a little bit. I hope the game gets close enough where Houston has to kind of ratchet up the defense again. Give me another 2, 3, 4, 5 points from BYU. Get it close to 10, 12 points, and then maybe Houston starts playing the defense. Because you said it. They scored more points in 13 minutes than they did the entire first half. So
just crazy.
They were going to only score 40. But, yeah, that's just nuts, right? So 27 points.
I was just looking at some points for some of these players. Sanders has 10 now for BYU. And then Cryer has already 15 for Houston. His total today was 15.5. So Cryer needs 1 more point if you were riding his player prop over 15.5 points, but Sanders is 6 points away because he had over 15.5 as well. So come on. I need Sanders and Cryer, Scott. I need a lot to happen in this game.
you really do need a lot. You're asking for a lot there, aren't you? All right, you're going to ask, you might as well ask, right? Yeah,
exactly.
Indiana's come back. Pacers now lead the 76ers 74-71. Oddly enough, only laying 7.5. You know, they were down 5 and they were laying 5.5. Now they're up 3. You know, the 8-point swing, and you're only laying 7.5. You know, so if you're thinking about getting a little middle there, you're really not getting the bargain. I do think they end up winning that game, but I would have thought that would have been, you know, a little more so. But 7.5 Pacers end up leading. Hawks still lead the Clippers early third quarter, 61-57. That's good. Celtics and Heat tied at 78.
Again.
2.5.
Every time we look, Scott, they're tied. Every time we look. These teams have mirror scores every single time we come to the NBA board. It's bizarre.
It's amazing. You know, the Celtics are just playing for really nothing. That's the problem. It's why I took their team total under in the second half. You know, they're not catching Cleveland. They're down 9, or they're 9 back. They're 4 ahead of the Knicks for the number 3 spot. I mean, you know, they still need to win, but it's not life and death. But man, they should beat Miami. Miami's lost 5 in a row. They're 3-7 their last 10. Let me make sure. Celtics are usually pretty good, but let me just double check and make sure Brown is playing. You know what? He's not. Tatum is, but Brown is out. I would still take Boston laying 2.5 right now. It's up to 3.5. They lead by 2. I think that's a pretty good bet. They're not losing to the Miami Heat. I'm going to put a full unit on that one. No way. All right, Black Cloud coming up next here on the grid.
It's made every match so much more enjoyable to watch because you don't get the stinkers, right?
Right. It goes back to these guys being smart. They figured out that if I've got the hammer in my back pocket and I don't relinquish it, we can just play them straight up and win. They figured that out. And so it's like, all right, now credit to the people at TGL. Like, no, we need to fix this because the hammer can change the match. And since we fixed it, you're not out of it.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Off of the combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drips. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Joe closing out hour number 1. You know what time it is. It's Black Cloud Play of the Day time. All right, just to recap, boy, we got screwed last night. We really, but it was overdue. We've had so many breaks go our way in our little 12-1 run that we were due for a clunker. And it's too bad because I was considering 2 games last night, over Kentucky and Oklahoma, which sailed by the over, and then the over Purdue and USC, which was sailing by the number as well, right? And then USC decided to score 4 stinking points in the last 5.5 minutes. 5.5 minutes of a high-scoring game, no less. And the game went under by 1.5 points. So it's going to happen. So back to the board we go. Little college basketball. There are a couple of games I was considering, but we're going to go back to college basketball. We're going to dig deep for this one, Joe. We're going to use the Utah Valley Seattle Redhawks WAC semifinal game. What? Yes, we are. Why? Utah Valley is the much better team. They're 24-7 overall, 15-1 in WAC play. Seattle is 14-7, 500 in WAC play. So they played twice earlier this year. Utah Valley did win both. They were close games. I'll admit 4 points and 5 points, but last time I checked, 4 and 5 is more than 3.5. Utah Valley also 17-11-1 against the spread this year. So, and last 5 meetings against Seattle, they're 5-0 against the spread, 4-1 straight up. You're only laying 3.5. You got the first place team by far in the WAC hosting a mediocre team, and you're only laying 3.5 on a neutral court. In both games, I looked it up. They were coming off rivalry games, so there were kind of excuses on why they didn't win by a whole lot. One was, they were coming off a game against Utah Tech, which is a big rivalry for them. And then there was another big game. They were playing like the first place team. So I have an excuse on why they didn't blow this Seattle team out. I think they do today. I think they win by double digits. So I know it's goofy, but give me Utah Valley laying 3. We'll buy the hook against Seattle. What do you think?
Oh, I like that one, Scott. Would you think of ulting this one? Like, if you're willing to lay 3, would you go higher?
Yeah.
Because could they win this by 5? Could they win it by 6? Could they win it by double digits? If you think they can win it by 9.5, it's plus 240. Not to put a black cloud on your black cloud, but could they?
Right. Yeah, right. I think they could. I'd like to get a little more than 240, but yeah. I mean, listen, if I think they're going to win by 4, then, could they win by 10? I think they do win by 10. I just think they're the much better team. So, again, they've had 2 close games, but I think that's going to help Utah Valley, whereas it might give Seattle a little bit of confidence, but I think it's going to make Utah Valley say, all right, we got to take this team seriously because we played them twice, and they gave us issues both times. So now you'll get Utah Valley's A game. So, yeah, I'd adjust that up to 9.5. Yep, I'd be okay with that.
Plus 240. You sold me, Scott. I'm jumping in at the plus 240. What do you think if they're winning this? Are they putting those points up on the board? Because we've got a team total for Utah Valley is 67.5. Minus 118 to the over.
They've had 2 low-scoring games. I will say that, which is another reason why this point spread's a little low. So, but I would think they would put 68 points on the board. I certainly wouldn't play the under. So if you were going to play anything, you would play the over. Yeah.
Seattle's team total under 65.5?
That I think I would do also. Seattle, I don't think scored. I know the first game the second game, they definitely didn't score 65 points. I think they put like 55 on the board. I'd have to double check and see the first game. It was kind of like 67, 63, something in that. Let me go to Utah Valley. The Wolverines of Utah Valley, if you Michigan fans that think you own that. Utah Valley versus Seattle, 70-66. Yeah. 70-66 was the first game, and then second game was 61-55. So if I was going to do it, I'd put it in a parlay with the over. Let's put it that way. Low enough number, 132. Lay to 3.5 or 3, depending on where you do your shopping. I do see some 3s across the board. And then the over 132.5. So little that actually a 9 o'clock game. I thought, you know what, we'll have we could see the beginning of that. All right, we'll get the first half of that. I thought that was a late game, but no. All right, that's cool. Good. North Carolina making a little bit of a run, down 11, 70, down 9, 70-61 with 4.5 left. Wow, the over-under is back up to 152.5. We got a shot at that original over. How about that? Hour number 2 coming up next.
It's made every match so much more enjoyable to watch because you don't get the stinkers, right?
Right. It goes back to these guys being smart. They figured out that if I've got the hammer in my back pocket and I don't relinquish it, we can just play them straight up and win. They figured that out. So it's like, all right, now credit to the people at TGL. Like, no, we need to fix this because the hammer can change the match. And since we fixed it, you're not out of it.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions field night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Off of the combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drips. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
And welcome in. It's in-game live game day on the grid. How about that? Things have changed in the last 60 minutes in North Carolina as the Tar Heels left for dead by me and Joe and everyone else who's got a North Carolina ticket down, 21 at the half, down as many as I think 25, at least 23. I know that. All of a sudden, Joe, they're down only 6, 70-64. The 7.5 line is back in place. Now only 5.5. The over-under, which was 152.5 or so, that's back in place up to 154.5. So, wow, how about that? Welcoming in all our new viewers and listeners. What's going on tonight, Joe?
Look at that game. 20 points in the first half, right? Or was that BYU?
Yeah.
No, it was BYU with 20 points. I was going to say, North Carolina, though.
24. Only 24 in the first half, so you weren't far off. Yeah.
Yeah, so 40 points so far in the second half. Like, where was his style of shooting in that first half? The first half, they couldn't hit a 3 to save their lives. Duke was coming out nice and strong. So it's good to see them stay competitive. Now, would you look at Duke laying the 4.5 now, Scott, over North Carolina? Like, where'd you go in? You went in North Carolina plus the 6.5 because I went in on the first half. So. Yeah,
I the original number 7. I got it 7.5. So,
nice.
Yeah. Would I go in at 4.5 and get out of the play? Yeah, they're not going to. Right? They are playing a lot better. I will say, but I would accept on FanDuel the 4.5 is minus 140. So I'm not doing that. If it was minus 110, then maybe I'd consider it a little bit more. Maybe I would do it. But I don't want to lay minus 140, because they'll end up winning by, 9. I'll lose the 7.5 bet. Or actually, no, they'll win by like 4. I'll win the 7.5 bet, but I'm laying minus 140, so it's not even like an even split. It's not even close to it. So I'll stick it out. But I think that's why they do it. I think there's probably so much money on North Carolina because the whole world seemed to say they like North Carolina today that they don't want to make it where you can hedge out of your bet right now. So the 154.5. Now that's something. They need 21 points. You have 3:32 left. They're in a position where they're going to be fouling, but I don't know if they get the 21 points or not. That's maybe I would hedge out of that one since I got over 152. Give myself a little 2-point middle. But you know what? What the fudge? Let's just roll the dice. I'm losing my St. Joseph's bet with St. Joe's against Dayton. They were up almost 20 first half. Now St. Dayton's come all the way back. They tied it at 46 with 8 minutes left to go in the game. Back to a pick-em contest. Yeah, that stinks.
Yeah, and a total 125.5. Are we in jeopardy of this one if Dayton stays this competitive going to overtime, Scott? I know a lot of these games won't have overtime bets right now, but if we think it's going to stay this tight, it has to go over the 125.5 at minus 120, wouldn't you think? Like I'm looking at that number, it looks like.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it goes to overtime, yes. But if it doesn't go to overtime, there's only 8 minutes and 15 seconds left. You're asking for 26, 36. You're asking for 34 points in 8 minutes in a game that's 46 all. There's no way. And it's a tie game. So at this point, you're not going to get the cheap point fouls in the end. There's no way that's getting 126 points. Not in regulation. Not the way they've been playing. Boy, you know what? I'm going to put that in. I like the under. Maybe all of a sudden the scoring starts, but I don't think so. I mean, you only have 92 points in 31 minutes. You're going to get 30 plus in the final 8 minutes?
No, you're not. Yeah. Can BYU give me 10 points though in a minute and 22 seconds? That's not happening, Scott. What happened to BYU here versus Houston? They're down 70-54. That spread is 15.5. They're not even giving us a look at the total here. Pretty impressed with what we've seen out of Houston in this game to really be limiting BYU again in this one, limiting their threes out there. They've done a fantastic job. They're now up 71-54.
Yeah. That's a typical, Houston game, face the mediocre teams this year. And they've gone up and down the court and games have hit 140 points, no problem. But, their bread and butter is their defense. You face a BYU, that's why I like the under. You got to sweat it out here. It was at 133.5. And we got 125 points with a minute 22 left. I don't think we're going to get there. I don't think there'll be any fouling down 17. But I did think they were going to play well today, Joe, Houston. I did because they were challenged. Whenever they get a challenge offensively by another team, that's when they pick up their defense, and that's when you get true Houston basketball. They screwed around this year with other teams, but, with BYU put 90 on the board yesterday, 92, 94, whatever it was, yeah, I figured this was going to be a low-scoring game. So, yeah, your team's a little bit of trouble, unfortunately.
Oh, it definitely is. There's no way. I don't even think they hit 60 in this, right? With 56 seconds left, they're going to be lucky to get another 3 on the board.
Yeah, probably. You probably got one possession left.
Yeah.
If they have the ball now, then maybe you get a quick 2, maybe a 3, get to 57. What's your number? 60 and change?
63.5 is no way.
Yeah, that's not happening.
I divided that a long time ago.
Yeah. No. I'm going to have to sweat out this dopey Missouri team total, though. I mean, listen, after watching Purdue and USC, I'm not counting nothing until it's actually in. They've scored, about 10 points in the last about 9 minutes. 81-72. The team total is 76.5 with 5 minutes left. Again, you would think they would get 5 points, right? I mean, but you would have thought that last night with USC, and USC scores 4 points in the final 5.5 minutes, and then that game goes under. So until I see 77 on the board for Missouri, but this should have been a no-brainer. This should have been over, by now. All of a sudden, Florida's picking up its defense. North Carolina down 4, 72-68. With a minute 42 left. Wow. Now, it's amazing. They still got Duke as a minus 850 favorite, but I was going to say if you have that 7-1 ticket for North Carolina to make the NCAA tournament, as we do, you can't hedge it because Duke on the money line is too big. But now they're down 3. This is like a huge. If North Carolina wins, I think they're in. I think they'll. This will be the excuse to put them in, Joe. I think they're looking for an excuse to put North Carolina in. If this was Topeka High, it'd be like, no. But, they won an NCAA tournament with North Carolina, Kentucky, UCLA, Syracuse, if they can put them in, right? So this would be the excuse. This is a big final minute and a half.
Do we look at North Carolina then, plus 285 on the money line, Scott? Right?
It's not a bad thought. Not a bad. It's almost 3-1, down 3 with 1:20 left, and all the momentum in the world. That's actually not bad. If I didn't have that 7-1 ticket, I would take them, but I already kind of have them, getting in if they win. So
didn't get it in. They locked it.
Yeah,
it's all locked, Scott.
They locked it.
Yeah. Everything's locked.
I don't admit it. Although we've seen down to 430, Missouri with still 72 points.
Wow.
I'm going to have to put that game on and give myself agita. I'm just going to have to do it. Winnipeg 2-0 over Dallas early second period in the marquee matchup on the ice tonight. We got Carolina leading Detroit 3-2. We got Edmonton 1-0 over the Islanders. Over-under on that one is 3.5 after 2 periods. That's interesting.
Sorokin's playing good.
Yeah, Islanders need this win. They really do. So does Edmonton, though. Steve Barrow, WageBuck.com, joining us next.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Taking a peek at all the action. Scott Wetzel and Joe Madden until 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Steve Burrow will join us in a little bit. NBA real quickly, Joe, because I want to go back to the college basketball board. Did want to point out, because we followed this game, Indiana by 14 over the 76ers with 3.5 left. So if you laid that 5.5, looking pretty good. It's now 13.5, so 108-94. Game is going to go under from the original number, but when we said buy in with Indiana, there's a reason why they were down 10 points and still laying 5.5. The 76er team was just awful. The big play Celtics, final minute, but this was just a gift. You know, I won't say every night, but every other night or so, you just get a great betting opportunity. And Boston laying 2.5 in a tie game against god-awful Miami, which has lost, 5-6 in a row. They're 3-7 their last 10, and you were getting the Celtics laying 2.5. Shut up, Scott. What's the score? 101-89, final seconds ticking off the clock, so that's going to hit. Our Atlanta Hawks bet, though, that's not looking too good, Joe. We're down 17. What happened to the Atlanta Hawks? Last time I checked, they were up 4.
Well, I want to go back to college. Duke and North Carolina. Scott, look at that score. We got 72-71 game right now. Duke up by 1 point only. This is nuts. Plus 520 if you think North Carolina is going to pull off the win. 16 seconds left. And they've locked everything on the books just right now. What do you think, Scott? North Carolina getting it done?
I'm guessing Duke's going to foul, right? I think North Carolina just hit a bucket, so Duke's going to foul. North Carolina's going to foul. Send Duke to the free throw line. No matter what happens, they're either going to be down 2 or 3. You're going to have a shot to send the game to overtime, or maybe win it, if it ends up being a 1-point or a 2-point game. So, no, I don't think they're going to. I think Duke is better. I don't know what happened the second half. They're just so much quicker. They're more athletic than North Carolina. Give North Carolina credit. Is this going to get them into the NCAA tournament if they don't win, but they played close as 6.5-point dogs? I don't know. But knowing I got the over, chances are pretty good it's not going to overtime, Joe. And
what was the original total? 146, 148?
152.5. So
okay.
I'm ways away. You know what happened? It's you were kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. North Carolina made such a great comeback that they got within one possession with a minute and a half left. So there was no reason to foul. So if they were down, we'll say 5, 6, 7, they hit a layup, boom, you foul, you play the dopey foul game, and you get all those free throws. But because they came all the way back so quickly, or, in the final minute, there was no reason for them to foul. So Duke just ran full 30 seconds off the clock and either made a shot or didn't, and you didn't get the cheap points there in the end like you get in a – that's why you always look for games that are 5 to 7 points because that's when you get the fouling and the extra points. So, all right, I got 32 seconds left on my TV, which I know is not right because FanDuel's going 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Boy, I tell you, some of these games just take an hour and a half to finish. Between these officials that want to go to the monitor, to review the most obvious thing, it's tough watching some of these games. It really is. So now they stopped it for some reason. All right, we'll see. We'll keep your fingers crossed on that one.
They're up 56-51. St. Joseph is pulling away 56-51. So that's good. Oh, and Florida pulling away from Missouri. What did you have? Missouri team total is 76.5?
76.5. I got 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Gambling should not be this difficult, Joe. It's just this 77 I got. Hey, I hit it with a minute 47 left. Oh, my God. This team had 67 points with like 10, 11 minutes left. They should be approaching 90 points. I get enough agita with the close bets, with the North Carolina Dukes. I don't need agita in a game that should be an easy winner, right? I mean, wow. Took them an hour and a half to get 10 stinking points. Now they got 79. Now watch them end up with 85 when everything is said and done. But
they could cover that original spread of 8.5. That'd be beautiful. So go, just go. It doesn't look like it. 95-79 here for Florida, and we're still seeing, Scott. I'm seeing 1 second left. 72-71 here for Duke. So 1 second on the clock.
My TV's got it at 21 seconds, so I'm not sure exactly what happened. But any kind of luck, if Lady Luck's on your side right now, right? North Carolina's at the free throw line, and they missed the first free throw and with a second left. So they need one free throw to tie the game and maybe go to overtime. I kind of doubt that's the situation, but they had a chance. I will say this, who knows what's going to end it. They had a chance because Duke's at the free throw line now. They missed the free throw, now meaning 20 seconds ago. They called a timeout. North Carolina was down 72-71 with the ball. Wow. And they didn't score, at least, although, you know what?
What?
If we have a second left and North Carolina's got the ball now with 17 seconds left, my little scenario's got a possibility. Maybe they drove to the bucket. Maybe they did get fouled. And maybe North Carolina's at the free throw line, because otherwise I think the game would be over, right?
You think so? Right? Yeah.
That would be something.
Okay, let's keep our fingers crossed. North Carolina has the ball, and we're going to either go to overtime, or maybe they're going to pull off their upset win here, Scott. That'd be pretty cool to see.
That would be nice. That would be nice. 3-0 Winnipeg. I told you in one of the breaks, Joe, I did play a hunch on the over in this game. It's far from being over, right? But it's 3-0 midway through the second period. Just because Winnipeg, Dallas, this had 2-1 written all over it, right? 2-1, 2-0, maybe 3-1. And I just said, it's a Friday night. Too many people are betting the under, and I just threw a hunch on the over. I do that once in a while. So we'll have to halfway start.
Yeah, this Jets team, I tell you, it's hard to bet against them for a total. That's for sure. Because like they've shown, 3 goals already on Jake Ottinger. Great start for the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, unbelievable. Ottinger and Hellebuck, rematch there. All right, in-game live, game day continues on the grid.
It's made every match so much more enjoyable to watch because you don't get the stinkers, right?
Right. It goes back to these guys being smart. They figured out that if I've got the hammer in my back pocket and I don't relinquish it, we can just play them straight up and win. They figured that out. So it's like, all right, now credit to the people at TGL. Like, no, we need to fix this because the hammer can change the match. And since we fixed it, you're not out of it.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Off of the combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drips. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Wow. Unbelievable. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Welcome back in-game live game day. Here's the situation real quickly with Duke and North Carolina. We'll welcome in Steve Burrow from Wager Talk in a sec. But North Carolina, as we last told you, had the ball, right, with 15 or so seconds left, timeout. They run a play. Kid actually hits a button. First guy misses. Next guy taps it in. They got the lead with 4 seconds left, right? Wrong. Officials call a foul on the kid who took the shot as he was going for the rebound. So they wave off the bucket for North Carolina. So the kid's got to go to the free throw line. All right, no big deal. He's got 2 free throws, right? First free throw, he misses. Second free throw, he hits. We're tied, right? Wrong, because there was a lane violation against North Carolina. Oh, they wave off the second free throw, and North Carolina ends up fouling with a second left, and they don't have another shot, and Dookie Pukey wins by 1. Wow. We had the overtime. It was right there. And you had North Carolina winning if they allow the original shot to hit, to count. But anyway, let's welcome in our good buddy Steve Burrow. WagerTalk.com. You find all his picks, all his plays. Just go there, hit his icon, and fire away. What's going on, Steve? How are you tonight?
Thank you for the emotional roller coaster there since I had North Carolina. I thought we were going to overtime, and now you're telling me we're not. My God, Scott, get to the point. I don't care if they win by 1 or lose by 1. Just don't go to OT at +7, man. I don't need any more of this. I had Stanford -5.5. They won by 5 a couple nights ago. I had Wisconsin -7.5. They're up 17, win by 7. I've had 2 half-point losses, numerous double-digit leads blown for non-covers. So I thought you were going to tell me the game goes to OT and Duke's going to win by 8. I mean, I could see that coming. The madness is here.
It definitely is. Did you look at anything with Purdue and Michigan? They're underway right now in the first half. We've got Michigan leading this one 19-12. Purdue is now a 2.5-point underdog in this matchup, a total of 155.5. So Purdue was a 2.5-point favorite going in. Did you think they could come in nice and strong, hit their threes, and get the win here, or were you riding on Michigan?
Yeah, I didn't have anything on this one, Joe, but I would say I'd probably take the adjusted line value now in endgame. As we just, as I was just talking about, like these games aren't over till they're over, right? I mean, teams are up by double digits and the lines are landing right within the number. Keep in mind, the numbers are going to be sharper this week than any time of the year in college basketball. They're going to be next week in the NCAA tournament. Even though you have non-conference opponents, nobody played each other, it's still pretty accurate because they've got 35-plus games, to make the power rating. But this week, you've got all the 30-plus games, plus you've got like 16 to 18 common opponents for the last 2 months. So every half point is more valuable right now than ever. So whenever you get 4 or 5 points of adjusted line value in game early on, I think it's worth a look.
We got 3 games, Steve, starting here in a couple of minutes. You got the SEC quarterfinal, Kentucky, Alabama. You got Clemson, Louisville, basically pick them there. Although Clemson, I see, has moved up to a 2.5-point favorite. And then we got one I'm really looking forward to, Boise State and New Mexico, semifinal in the Mountain West. You like any of those games?
Well, I'll start with the Clemson-Louisville game because the winner is going to get Duke. Assuming Duke's winning this game, I need to be told this for sure. It hasn't gone over. UNC's not going to hit a half-court 3 on us, right? Because I saw 74-71 with 2 seconds to go. So has it gone final?
I guess not. I thought it was. I thought Joe said you saw it was gone final. So
I'm not going to say Duke wins quite yet.
Yeah,
but
not yet.
Duke, I will say I think without Cooper Flagg, they were probably a little focused early on. It caught up to them in the second half there when UNC almost pulled the outright win. I wouldn't be shocked for them to come back down to earth. I know it's the ACC championship, but Cooper Flagg's probably the most valuable player to any squad in the country. Now, yes, Duke has a lot of talent still, but I think he's the best player in the nation, and their national title hopes are pretty much gone without him in the lineup. I don't see them winning 6 straight in the next couple weeks after tomorrow. And the other reason I bring that up is because Clemson is my sleeper for the NCAA tournament. There's 8 teams right now, guys, that have all the metrics that I track. It's really like a top 20 offense, defense, slower than normal pace, excellent coach. Clemson has all of those. And then don't forget, they made the Elite 8 last year, and they're better this season. Burnell got it done at Wilmington. He's got it done, even at Wright State. He's got it done at Clemson going to the Elite 8 last year. Well-coached team, and I really think they could be a sleeper. I kind of would not like to see them in the finals tomorrow for that reason. One less game, maybe a little bit more under the radar. And I think Louisville's dangerous as well. So I really think, Duke could be in some trouble either way. But this Clemson-Louisville game should be a dogfight tonight. The Kentucky game is interesting. Kentucky was up by 10 with a couple minutes to go last night, and Oklahoma took the lead. If that doesn't sum up Kentucky in a nutshell, I don't know what does. They're so bipolar. Should be a high-scoring shootout just like it was last night.
Steve, break that Duke did. I just thought I can guarantee that.
Is it final?
Yes.
Final.
It's made every match so much more enjoyable to watch because you don't get the stinkers, right?
Right. It goes back to these guys being smart. They figured out that if I've got the hammer in my back pocket and I don't relinquish it, we can just play them straight up and win. They figured that out. And so it's like, all right, now credit to the people at TGL. Like, no, we need to fix this because the hammer can change the match. And since we fixed it, you're not out of it.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than game time decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Off of the combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drips. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the grid. Thanks again, Steve Merrill. WagerTalk.com. We can find all his plays. Just look for his pick under free picks and pay picks. He gives out some free ones from time to time and also the pay ones. So I do appreciate a couple minutes with him. I'm still waiting for the four-letter network here. For whatever reason, they decided not to give the final shot for North Carolina, which did have the ball with 2 seconds left and a chance to tie the game, send it to overtime. But I don't know, maybe they got a glitch in their system, but they've showed everything except the replay of the final shot. But the bottom line is, Joe, Duke does win 74-71, so they advance on to the ACC final against the winner of the Clemson game against Louisville, which is going to start probably in about 20 minutes or so. And now the question is, really, is North Carolina in? So that 7-1 ticket, was that good enough? A wounded Duke team, you took them down to the wire, you made a comeback. Is that good enough to get into the NCAA tournament? I'm hoping yes, but I'm thinking no because, you just look at their resume, and outside of them being North Carolina, they just really haven't beaten anybody. They just haven't. I mean, nearly every good team, Kansas lost, Auburn, Michigan State, Alabama, Florida. The one good team was UCLA, but after today's performance, how good really are they? Even Louisville, they lost. Stanford, they lost. Wake Forest, Dookie Pukey again. Clemson again. I mean, they got nothing but wins against like Syracuse, North Carolina State, Miami, Virginia Tech, Notre Dame. Yeah, I think I'm not going to rip up that 7-1 ticket, Joe, but I wouldn't be looking to cash that either.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Don't rip it up. There's always hope, but
rip it up.
It's not. Not looking too good. We are going to overtime. St. Joe's and Dayton going to overtime. They're tied 60 apiece at overtime, just starting right now. We do have minus 120 here for St. Joe's. Just flipped. Plus 100 for St. Joe's. Dayton laying minus 128. Scott, you have St. Joe's in this game, right? What do you need them to cover?
St. Joe's. They're getting 1.5. So I'm happy about this. The overtime in that. I also have the over, which was 140.5. Now it's probably going to take double overtime, but you never know. Tied at 60. I need 21 points to get to the over 140.5. Could happen, but at this pace at 60-60, and they got no scoring in the first 45 seconds. So. But all right, so we got a little overtime action in that one. What else do we got here? Utah Valley and Seattle are Black Cloud tied at 20. 5 minutes left to go first half with Seattle. Okay, laying 2.5 now. That's okay. Not great, but we'll take it. Michigan leads Purdue 26-21. 8 minutes left to go in the first half there, Joe. So a couple of games. Let me throw a couple at you that are starting here that we touched on with Steve Merrill. ACC second game, which will start in about 15, 20 minutes or so since the Duke game just ended. Clemson is laying 2.5 now, over under 141.5. I do like Clemson in the game. This is just nothing fancy. Sometimes I use trends, what have you. But I just think they're the better team. And they lost to Louisville on Louisville's home court in the only meeting this year. So a little revenge factor, a little chip on their shoulder. I just think Clemson is the better team, and I think they get the win tonight.
Yeah, I do too. I laid straight up on the money line. I got them minus 120 earlier in the day, so minus 134 now on that money line. I do think you'll have a couple of runs in this game where you will see Louisville go up, so then we'll see less juice on that money line, and that's where I jump in for Clemson. But I'd also look at Chase Hunter. I have his points over 15 points in this game, and then over on his rebounds, 4+ rebounds for Chase Hunter of Clemson. I think he can come out nice and strong in this, Scott.
All right, Arizona, Texas Tech, another game, Joe, where I just think Texas Tech is the better team. Sometimes you get these games where you can overanalyze things and this and that, and after watching both these teams play, I think Tech is the much better team. I really do. Arizona extended a lot of energy, a lot of emotion last night, beating Kansas, big win for them. I don't know how much they're going to have left in the tank. Give me Texas Tech getting 1.5 against Arizona.
I'm completely with you. I trust this team, and you know where I trust them, Scott? They go to that free throw line, and they can actually hit those baskets. And anytime you're giving me a team that is so strong at getting those baskets from the free throw in such a tight spread, I have to roll with them. I'm also looking at Arizona is going to try to hit those threes, but Texas Tech is going to come out nice, strong on the perimeter, and I don't think they're going to be able to hit the threes on Texas Tech. So I'll take Texas Tech. I'll lay the 1.5 with them. I don't think you have to worry about just taking them straight up on that money line. I actually think they win this by 3-4 points. I think it's still tight and not like a complete blowout, but one where Texas Tech is winning comfortably with 10 seconds left. You can breathe.
All right. Kentucky, this should be a lot of fun. Getting 8.5 now on FanDuel, 179.5 against Alabama. Kentucky's won 3 in a row for the first time since December, believe it or not. As good as they are, they've been so inconsistent. They did win yesterday. You heard Steve say that they blew that 10-point lead, but ended up hitting a shot basically at the buzzer to win it. How much emotion are they going to have left? That's my only concern with the over. I mean, you got to get the juices flowing to get 180 points on the board, and it takes two teams to tango, right? So, but over for me is the play in this one.
I was going to say, Scott, you better have the over, because the last time we sat here last weekend on the Alabama game, I had the under, and you sat here and you said, if you're dumb enough to bet the under on an Alabama game, you deserve to lose that game. So when I looked at this game today, I heard you in my head absolutely saying that, and I took this one to the over as well. So, yeah, we need Kentucky to do their share, but I do think they can do their share, and I think Alabama comes out nice and strong in this one. They have played really strong games versus Kentucky, but we still seen Kentucky be able to put some points on the board as well. So you were in my head, Scott. I swear, there's so many games I look at, and when you have like those little like outbursts of things, they get remembered. They definitely get remembered.
I will say that game did go under by a point or so. Like the scoring stopped in the second half. They ended up with 179 points, and I think the over-under was like 183. But I remember it being like over 200 in-game live, and that's when we said the things that we said about, craziness to bet an under in an Alabama game. So how about New Mexico laying a 1.5? I think it's still a 1.5. Let me just double check on FanDuel here. It was this afternoon. Yeah, 1.5 against Boise State. Really good matchup in the Mountain West. I like New Mexico, even though the trends say Boise, and that happens sometimes. Boise State, 8-3, their last 11 against New Mexico, 11-3-1 against the spread, their last 15 against New Mexico. But here's the one that kind of pushed it towards New Mexico for me. Boise State does a lot of their damage at home. They're not nearly as good on the road. They really have big splits, and neutral site falls into that category. In fact, they're only 2-8 against the spread their last 10 neutral site games. So with that in mind, give me the Lobos, give me New Mexico.
Yeah, that 2-8 is a really big factor here for Boise State. I do think, though, they're going to be able to put some points on the board, and I think New Mexico will be able to too, Scott. So I'm going to play the over. So I got it at 146.5, and I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, still sitting at minus 115 to the over 146.5. So that's where I'm going to roll. I think this is back and forth for both of these teams. Pretty solid pace out there. I'm not expecting extremely fast, but not a slow pace. So I think 146.5 is a decent number for us to go over.
All right. I will say NBA, just to throw this out there. It's amazing. This team is just, I talk myself out of betting on Cleveland every single game, Joe. It's just 87-69 with no Donovan Mitchell. And I gave out the 5-0 without Mitchell, but they were all close games, all single-digit wins. And I just thought Memphis tonight at home Friday night would get the win, and they're getting the doors blown off. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it completely made sense to look at Memphis in this one. I did look at the total. The total was 145.5, looking at that to the over. So we've got a live total of 255.5 right now. This is getting to the point where it's getting too high for me, Scott. I want to see it tick up a couple more points. Maybe I'll middle it. Maybe I won't. Maybe I should just stay off this game. How many bets do I need tonight? Right? Like, I don't need that many, do I?
Yeah, why not? Why put a lid on it? It's a Friday night, I know our next guest, Cam, has about 50 of them, so why not? Cam Stewart coming up next.
It's made every match so much more enjoyable to watch because you don't get the stinkers, right?
Right. It goes back to these guys being smart. They figured out that if I've got the hammer in my back pocket and I don't relinquish it, we can just play them straight up and win. They figured that out. So it's like, all right, now credit to the people at TGL. Like, no, we need to fix this because the hammer can change the match. And since we fixed it, you're not out of it.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than game time decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Of the combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drips. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the grid. College basketball, NHL, NBA, and I must say our next guest is probably going to be happy about this one. Right down your alley, Mr. Cam Stewart. Utah Valley, our Black Cloud play of the day, up 10 against Seattle. How about
Seattle
that? What's going on, Cam?
Well, Seattle's a very popular pick tonight, but Utah Valley,
Really?
these guys are, a lot of like these. Know what I love about the gambling world? Sharps, dulls. You know what? People who bet more, people who bet less. I'm done with this. Oh, I'm sharp. I'm dull. Whatever. Public, make your bets. Like, I'm so sick and tired of the gambling landscape about, the sharps are on there. But anyway, everyone liked Seattle tonight. I didn't touch the game, to be honest with you. And Utah Valley, those guys are amazing. By the way, Scott, I did the reverse curse. I went on the show last night and I told Morency, I'm like, Justin Thomas, you dog, you're 6. Guy tied the course record today. He shot 10 under. He's -4. Back a little far back, but he made the cut, which is absolutely. Can you believe that? Guy goes from 6 over and shot a 10 under today. Welcome to golf.
Wow.
Hockey
How
tonight.
about that guy, Cam, real quickly? How about the guy that had 3 eagles yesterday? Did you see that story?
I did a show with another
crazy
guy.
Is that?
I mentioned his name, and they went, are you an idiot? You're Chandler Phillips again. Yeah, I'm like, and then all the tweets came in. They're like, wow, Cam, that was a crazy pick. Like, the guy's not going to win, but he had 3 freaking eagles. And the thing is, he had like a triple bogey too. Like, man, this tournament's crazy, Scott. It's like the highs of the highs and the lows of the lows. But man, it's been a lot of fun to watch. Hopefully the wins pick up over the weekend. Basketball right now. We got the Raptors in Utah. That baby just kicked off. I will take the Raptors plus 3.5 against the Jazz live. This team they're playing very, very well, Scott. As you said, if they could have won some of those earlier games, things would have been good. Live hockey, I'll take the Oilers minus 130. Why, Joe? I don't know. You could talk me out of it, but every time I take these losers, they lose. But I think they could beat the Islanders tonight. We're tied 1-1. I got to be honest with you. I thought the Dallas Stars plus 1.5 when they were down was a bet. They're down 3 now. That's toast. But the hockey coming up, let's think about these games coming up. We got Utah and Seattle. Utah is hot. I don't want to lay 56 cents, but I'll put them in a parlay. I like Utah to beat Seattle. And my pooch of the night, guys, give me the Anaheim Ducks. I know Nashville's won 4 in a row, but you know what? This is the night I'm going to get back on it. I think Anaheim at home will get it done. They're plus 134, plus 1.5. If you have a plus 1.5 with Anaheim and Utah in the parlay, that's plus 154. That's good enough for me, guys.
Ooh, I do like where you're going there. I think Edmonton is live too, Cam, in this one. I didn't want to bet them coming in because you weren't getting enough value, but I did like them to get those goals on the board. With Utah and Seattle and then Nashville and the Ducks, do you think we can have higher scoring first periods between both of these teams?
Yeah, I do. Last night, Gabe and I both hit the over in the Chicago-San Jose first period. It was 2-0 and turned out to be a good game. I'm finding a lot of these games go over early, except for look at the games tonight. We got low flow, 1-1 with the Islanders, 3-0 with the Jets, 1-0 Colorado over Calgary. That's early though, but look at these totals, right? 3.5 live in the Islander game, 4.5 with the Stars, 5.5. Joe, these are the games I think that we're actually going to get some scoring. So yes, over 1.5 in both. I think we can hit both. Nashville, Anaheim, I like the over. In Utah, Seattle, I do. To bet the game over, I'd rather them score early or not score and bring it down, and then we can take it up. But I love those first period overs, as you guys talk about. I like Utah to get it done. They're a hot hockey team right now. They're playing great. The juice sucks, but sometimes we'll lay it, and I think Anaheim is a live dog tonight. College basketball, I had one of my best days ever. Some bad with the hockey's actually been bad for me, Joe, and basketball's been good, but what are we doing live in these basketball games? Scott, do I go back to my friend in Cal Poly Slow? They've been like a lover that just always is there for me in times of trouble. Like, you know what I mean? Like I
saw that they won last night.
They're amazing.
They did win. I told you not to bet them.
And you know me too. I love the Running Rebels and Cal Poly Slow. Oh God, they're the type of teams to help you move. You know what I mean? You're moving heavy objects, and you give them a call. And unlike my other friends who bolt out of town, I'm busy. I got things to do. They show up for you when it really matters. I got to take them again. I know they're in tough tonight, but this Cal Poly Slow team, is on fire. What do they won? 7 in a row? They're covering outright, winning outright. Like, it's just, these guys are amazing. Like, that's the beautiful thing about the pre-tournaments before March Madness. You get these small schools that get on a heater, and man, their offense is churning. Have you seen them? 96 points, 100. Like, they are just scoring at will. So a lot of overs with their games. But hey, if I go down with the ship, it's been great because I've been riding them from the start. Cal Poly slow, please.
Yeah, they've been pretty good. I'm looking at the schedule. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 in a row and 6 in their last 7. So yeah.
They're hot.
All right, how about a couple of games going on? Oh, actually, they throw the NBA at you real quickly. Any injury? You got to stay away from the Lakers. They are leading early on, 12-10 against, but no Luka obviously, and no LeBron tonight.
Yeah, I'd fade the Lakers actually. Recently, I'm just on the Raptors. I got them plus 3.5, and if Utah goes up by more, I'll take them again at a price. I think this is going to be a very, very close game, so I'll take the dog right now. We just started. I know it's a little bit of a homer bet, but Scott, as we've talked about many times in the past, man, if this team just would have won a couple games like the leads they blew to Chicago and stuff, they'd be right there. Like when Scotty Barnes is in the lineup, like, and they got their guys, they're actually pretty good. And, I'll take them as a small pooch in Utah tonight. Small play.
Yeah. And the Bulls winning. Go ahead, Joe.
Sorry, Joe?
No, go ahead with the Bulls. What do you think of the Bulls?
The Bulls were winning too. That hasn't helped Toronto's cause at all. Otherwise they would be right there also. But the Bulls all of a sudden have gotten hot 4 straight wins. So let me throw one college game at you real quick. Clemson and Louisville. I really do love Clemson in this one. Cam, what about you?
Scott, I love being on the same side as you, and I actually don't like when we're on opposite sides. It bothers me because I like to win together, and I want you to win so your family can reap the benefits of your cash rewardings, and maybe you can stuff some away too for a rainy day. But I like the Louisville Cardinals tonight. I know Clemson's fantastic. That was a great game against SMU, but Louisville is one of those teams, especially the way they won the last game with that 3. I think it's going to buoy them to better things. I'm on the Louisville Cardinals tonight. I hate to be on opposite sides of you, Scott, but wait, we're on a lot of the same, but it is what it is. I'll tell you one thing. It's going to be a hell of a basketball game. I'll take Louisville, though.
Should be a lot of fun. All right, Cam, great job as always. It'll be Cam and Gabe, top of the hour. They'll take you over the next 2. And enjoy the weekend, my friend. Keep those bets coming, and hopefully we get a chance to cash a couple winners.
Yeah, don't cash out in the golf, Scott, or you do what you want. I'm not going to tell you what to do anymore.
Okay.
It's made every match so much more enjoyable to watch because you don't get the stinkers, right?
Right. It goes back to these guys being smart. They figured out that if I've got the hammer in my back pocket and I don't relinquish it, we can just play them straight up and win. They figured that out. So it's like, all right, now credit to the people at TGL. Like, no, we need to fix this because the hammer can change the match. And since we fixed it, you're not out of it.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Off of the combine this weekend, there's been lots of anonymous sources and position coaches and all these things that sat down in interviews with him. A lot of teams allegedly don't see him as a first-round pick.
Their big mouth that thinks they can do it either. They're embarrassing themselves. They all think they're so smart, everybody in this business. You're all a bunch of drips. Honestly, you don't know who's going anywhere.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the grid. Again, thanks to Cam Stewart. They'll take over top of the hour with Gabe Morency for the next two here on the grid. Did get a couple of emails here. The opposite picks, with the games being as in flux, who's winning, who's losing. We don't even know the matchups, let alone the point spreads for tomorrow. So I will post those on my website, though. So once the games are over tonight, go to the website, opspicks.com, and I'll post those on the front page. You just hit the OpsPicks icon. So it won't be a happy audio for it, but at least you can see it, which is the main thing. You got the bets. So a couple things here, Joe. A little college basketball will start there before we get to the hockey and the other stuff. St. Joe's did win 73-68. That's the good news. The bad, for me, it's there's always bad news, right? So I had St. Joe's. They won. I had the over 140.5, and I won by the hook, getting 21 points in overtime. So what could be the bad news? Remember when it was, I forget what the score was, and we said there's no way in the world this team is going to get 100 and I'll just say 20. I think it was 125.5. It was because they would have needed like 36 points in 7 minutes, right? So I forgot about that bet. I'm thinking the whole time, I need overtime, right? Meanwhile, that killed my under 125.5 bet. So, and I put a lot on that because I really didn't think they would get 36. I think they did like 36 points, whatever it was, in 7 minutes. It just wasn't happening. And when I went down my little rundown, it's like, oh, fudge, I forgot I put that in. And so it wiped out the winning on St. Joe's and the over. Unbelievable.
That's the worst, Scott. I hate to hear that. But Utah Valley's up by 10 over Seattle, so that's a good thing, especially if you altered that. At half, 35-24. That spread's now 8.5, and it was a 3-point spread, right? That was your black cloud.
Yep.
Nice.
I'm not sure why. I don't doubt Cam, but I'm not sure why people love Seattle tonight. Utah Valley was 15-1 in the conference, 24-7. And Seattle is 14-17, only 8-8 in the WAC. And I know they played them twice. We talked about that. The low-scoring games, close games, but sometimes you need to take a step back and just say, all right, there's reasons why it was close because they weren't taking Seattle seriously. And so 10-point spread right now. They're laying 9.5 on FanDuel if you want to go in on that. So any other college basketball before we touch on hockey, little NBA? Arizona's off to an 11-6 lead over Texas Tech. That's early on. Go ahead.
Yeah, that is a nice place to jump in on Texas Tech right now. And I still think Purdue can come back and get this win. They're plus 122 right now on the money line versus Michigan. They are down by 5, 38 to the 33 right now, coming to the end of the first half. But I would look at Clemson for this game as well versus Louisville coming up, Scott.
All right. Anything with the Cal Poly, Cam's Cal Poly Slocum game against UC Irvine? I will tell you, we gave out some of the numbers before. This is one of our trends. This is the trend play, or one of them anyway. Cal Poly 15 or UC Irvine 15-8-1 against the spread against Cal Poly. So we're going to buck Cam's trend there, and we're going to go with UC Irvine. Although I don't like laying a 10.5. I wait. I'll take a chance that Cal Poly gets off to a decent start, and we go under the 10.5.
I'll let you guys have opposite sides of that. I'll take the over 159.5 because I do think Cal Poly is going to be able to put some points on the board. I think we get that faster paced game. This total's high, but I don't think it's high enough. I think we hit the 160, Scott.
All right. One thing I want to do this weekend, Joe, is go back and see how many double-digit favorites actually won and, more importantly, cover the spread. Because it is a bugaboo. I don't like laying. It's like laying double digits in college football bowl games. Don't do it. And if you look and see, you'll see way more double-digit underdogs cover. And it's kind of the same thing with these conference tournament games. It's hard to blow a team out knowing you got to play 2-3 games later in a row. So That's the only hesitation. Overtime, Islanders and Edmonton Oilers tied at 1.
Wow.
You know, they were just off when Cam was on the air. You know, they were offering an overtime bet with 4.5 minutes left at minus 240 in a 1-1 game. I didn't get a chance to say it, but I did put it in. It's like every once in a while they fall asleep at the wheel with some of these overtime bets.
I'm bummed I missed that one. That's for sure. Edmonton get it done in overtime. Oh, maybe the Islanders do. Plus 102. Sorokin's obviously hot tonight, but Connor Pickard in net for the Oilers. I don't trust him that much, Scott. Minus 130 on the Oilers? No way.
I'd take Edmonton, though, if it gets to a shootout. That's for sure. Going out to back tomorrow, 4 to 8 p.m. Eastern time. Hopefully you make some money tonight. Talk to you tomorrow.